Shinryuu and FinalFighter. So I'm going to start this countdown in 3, 2, 1. So we're going to start commentary of the actual glitch run now. This is going to go through all stages, well, sort of, and I'll let Clertonic take over what's going on now.
Sure, so this task was released in 2010, and they discovered some pretty groundbreaking glitches, Shinryuu and FinalFighter. So the task route will go to Elec Man first, though standard real-time runners go to Cutman first. You get huge benefits from getting the Magnum Beam, which is located in Elec Man's stage. Ordinarily, you need Gutsman's weapon, but we're going to see some glitches coming up. So one thing to keep in mind is that whenever you enter the wall in this game, very funky things happen and you try to eject. So you see, that's what's called a zip. So anytime you enter a wall or a ceiling or any solid object, the game tries to eject you and get you out. Ladders have this weird property that if you are at the very top of one, it ejects you 24 pixels up and it kind of spits you out into the wall. So you'll see it right here on this screen. So you kind of get in this habit of jumping around. So again, the game puts you into the wall because of some strange ladder mechanics, and it lets you collect the Magnum Beam. And now Rockman's going to use the Magnum Beam to kind of scale very quickly. And it looks a little kind of crazy, but again, the game is just trying to eject you out of walls, and the task is able to manipulate that so you can climb quickly. So you'll see throughout this entire run, the Magnum Beam is the most important item, just for both vertical and horizontal movement. So we'll see a corridor zip here. It's another way that using the Magnum Beam you can plunge yourself into the wall by a pixel-perfect trick.
He's also using some pause buffering here to take specific amounts of damage or to kind of manipulate how much damage he takes.
So the Elec Man fight is very standard. You don't have his weakness, and unfortunately, he only does 1 damage at a time. But if you notice, Elec Man is pretty much always white, blinking white. And what that means is that there's absolutely no downtime in which he's vulnerable. The exact frame, the 16 milliseconds window, the exact frame that he can get hit, he does get hit. So it's, in theory, a perfect Buster fight. And he also lines himself up so he can collect the end thing, and that's the end of the stage.
And you can see here where the score was 50,000. So he did manipulate that lower bonus because it takes more time to count to higher numbers.
So we're off the Iceman stage. There's a very heavy benefit from having Magnum Beam, and now that you have his weakness. So it's a pretty standard stage for a little while. Okay, so what's going on here is something called delay water scroll, and whenever the game has a lot of lag, kind of funky things happen. And what happened here was the game loaded the section from the Wily 3 stage in which there's a water current, and it applies it to Iceman stage, so he gets a big boost at the first screen. Then from here, it's mostly just Magnum Beam zips. What you're seeing when he's at the top of the screen. Basically, if you're at the top of a screen and the screen below it has a solid block at the bottom of the screen, you can kind of do this zip where you clip from the top of the screen all the way down to the bottom and effectively skip the screen. I guess you could talk about the pause glitch here. Essentially, when you press pause in this game, you let the enemy's invincibility frames continue to extinguish. So you can keep a weapon on the screen, and you can press pause, let the invincibility frames run out, and then unpause, and then the enemy can get hit by the same weapon. So they use that quite a bit in this run. Fireman's a very technically demanding stage for RTA runners, and it happens to have a lot of very tight corridors which allow for a plethora of zips. And you'll see him use a lot of pauses, and essentially he's reducing lag. When you press pause during some of these zips, it kind of messes with the collision, and Rockman's able to get through areas quicker.
Sometimes a lot quicker.
And keep in mind, too, that he's using, every time he gets through a stage, he uses pretty much all of his magnet beams, so the exact positioning and exact usage of every magnet beam is very carefully planned.
There's a lot of pre-planning, a lot of running through a level, figuring out how many of a certain thing you'll need, then doing it again.
So we're off to Bomb Man stage.
Common theme, 50,000.
Bomb Man stage is known for having a lot of spikes and dangerous areas.
You can see the tactic he used was the same one that I was showing you earlier.
However, I'm gonna skip all that, and that's the level. It's okay, so that kind of requires some explanation. It's essentially what happened in Iceman stage. There was a ton of lag, and the game incorrectly loads something when there's too much lag going on. And in the task notes, they say that it took them 14 to 15 days of pure simulation to get the one scenario in which that would occur. And basically, you call the end of the level. And
things get pretty messed up. So to clarify, you can use man, that looks really weird. And I've watched this run a million times. It still looks weird. You can use Lua scripting to run through a game and look for a specific win condition. Maybe memory values are where you want them to be, or a certain value is what you want it to be. Whatever the case may be, you can have a bot run through various different scenarios and try different combinations of input to try to find a result that is feasible or is what you're looking for. And it took 15 days of running a Lua script to get that.
So as you noticed, one of the side effects is that every screen kind of looks warped and jagged. But it's actually, nothing has changed. When we go to Cutman stage and what was just on Gutsman stage, everything is actually the same, but visually it's kind of all messed up. And it's just a side effect of one of the data banks getting loaded incorrectly. So when the screen scrolls, you see the correct one, but then it quickly changes to something that's visually incorrect.
Very wrong.
So Cutman stage is another kind of tower stage similar to Elec Man, but using the magnet beam, you can get through the areas much quicker. And if you notice there's tons of weapon drops, and he's doing that on purpose too. If you manipulate based on your inputs and your exact timing, you can get more weapon energy so you can use magnet beam more often.
You can go to the game resources page on taskvideos.org, which lists the complete drop probability table for Mega Man on the game resources page. And there's specific probabilities that you'll get a bonus pearl, or that you'll get a weapon drop, or a big weapon drop, or weapon refill. And you can see the exact odds of what it'll be, and even the memory address where those are stored. He's standing in the wall.
So that's the 6 robots, and we're off to the Wily stages. Unfortunately, you can't skip this.
Oh, we make up for that.
We do.
The Wily eyebrow flex is so hard to do.
So here he's going to keep a certain amount of enemies on the screen and use Elec Man's bolt and skip this stage too. Essentially, when there's a ton of enemies on the screen and you can manipulate the drops, you're able to essentially call the end of the stage if the conditions are correct. And that's what's going on in Wily 1 and Wily 2.
Yep. So all three of those that we talked about where you saw the level just end, it was all the same glitch, but it triggered in slightly different ways. And in many cases, they weren't even sure they could pull it off. Especially for Wily 2, they had to do a lot of manipulation to figure out how to do that. Obviously here he's abusing things. What level?
So this is a common trick for real-time runners, but essentially there's blocks here, and you have a 1-frame window after you throw a block to actually pick up the same block even though it's not there. But what he's doing here is constant, they're called dupes, and he's forcing also the boss to come in the right side, which is perfect for the optimal kill. So,
yeah, and this is a case where he probably put, I don't know how many hours in, making sure the boss always came in on the right side. They always did everything on the earliest possible frame. So literally as perfect as the hardware could possibly handle it. And sometimes the hardware doesn't handle it.
So he's not actually going through spikes there. Alright, so coming up, you're going to fight. It's supposed to be the refights, but essentially there's a glitch where if you can take knockback while your Magnum Beam is out, you can clip up, scroll past all the bosses, and effectively skip the refights. So even though it looked like he had to fight Bomb Man, he actually just got past the checkpoint trigger to skip all of the refights, and now he's going into the final fight.
Task videos, oftentimes you'll see submission notes and it'll say uses death as a shortcut. That's a pretty common item you'll see in there, along with heavy luck manipulation.
So more use of the pause glitch here, just to get a quick hit.
Time.
And that's it.
Perfect. So this game is a good example of a game that's been ripped to shreds to the point that the original game is at some points not even recognizable to its original form. We're going to pause that here. I guess I could let it keep going, but we're going to move on to the next run, which is Sonic Advance. So one moment while we do a bit of quick setup.
And while they're doing that, I do have a couple quick donations to read.